I'm Eric Engleman. I work at Ask.com in a business unit called the Ask Partner Network. And I head up product management there and work on a product that's called an install network. I'm going to walk you through how to work with affiliates, install networks, and then also do bundling deals. Before I get started, though, I want to find out a little more about the audience. How many people have their own software application? How many build their own software? Okay. How many people have done marketing of that software? How many people have done affiliate marketing of their software? Great. How many people, let's say you've spent in a year $10,000 doing affiliate marketing for your software? $500,000, or how much do you want to say you spend on a regular basis? On affiliate marketing, yeah. Yeah, not necessarily doing SEM yourself, but perhaps through a third party.
I'd say it's probably over half.
Right, great, because that means I just wanted to see the audience, and it sounds like we have a wide range of people in the audience. And for those folks, I don't know your name in the back there, but if you could also, folks have any questions, or feel free to chime in and provide any other insight. So I'm going to walk you through affiliate marketing, install networks, which is a new set of distribution channels that are arising, and then also direct bundle deals. And I hope it's pretty straightforward. I've broken it down so it is pretty straightforward, and it's appropriate for a wide range of audiences. So essentially with affiliate marketing, I'm going to walk you through some basic marketing principles that can be applied to affiliates, install networks, and then also to bundle deals. And I'm going to walk you through what do they do, who are they, what tactics do they do, what tools are needed, and how best to work with affiliates, how best to work with them, and what you need to watch out for. So at a high level, what do they do? Well, they're going to market your product for a fee. And basically, they're going to market it for what's called a CPA, or cost per action. And that fee can be measured in many ways, or those actions can be measured in many ways, which might have different terms. So cost per install, cost per download, cost per click, but essentially it's all the same thing. You're going to pay this third party to market your product, and you're going to pay them based upon a very specific action. And this type of marketing is very performance driven. It's all about getting the user to do a specific action. You know, download, click, like, buy, it's all a very specific action. Unlike branding, which is all about generating subtle changes in people's perception about a product or a brand, and then eventually getting people to do specific actions. The reason I point this out is that later on, this subtle difference becomes really important because these performance-driven networks might run into problems with the way you might want to manage your brand. Right? So it's important to know that it's all very performance-driven, and all the tools around this are around metrics, driving greater visibility into your conversion funnel. Okay, so who are they? These affiliate network programs, they'll have a wide variety of offers. Generally, it's blind, meaning that you don't know who your affiliate publishers, who is distributing your product at the end of the day. So you're working through a bit of a blind network. A publisher is being aggregated, so you don't really have a direct relationship with the end publisher. We have lots of examples here. Digital River is here. I believe Gates here with their commerce platform. There are a few other examples out here. At our business unit, we work with Epic. I use them as an example. They have 45,000 different publishers. They work with a wide variety of different publishers. And here's just a few other examples. And you'll be able to get this PowerPoint presentation at the end. So you'll be able to take a look at these companies as people that you might want to work with. So getting into this kind of affiliate network structure. What's really important to understand is that oftentimes you do not have a direct relationship with that publisher. You have a relationship with the network who's working individually with the publishers who might be aggregating a wide variety of websites or other marketing tactics. What this means is that it takes a while to ramp up a product, or ramp up your marketing, and ramp down your marketing. It's not like it's on Google AdWords where you run a campaign and you can start a campaign immediately, and then put your campaign on pause or on hold or change the price of your campaign. It takes time for the information, your offer, to work through the affiliate network and for the end publisher to start distributing your offer and finding the appropriate places for it in their publisher network. So a lot of these networks have a wide variety of publishers, and these publishers take on a wide variety of tactics. You know, they could do SEM, they could be managing display ad networks, doing arbitrage between remnant buys, they could be buying DNS ad traffic, you know, error traffic that might appear when one goes to a 404 error page. They could be buying traffic from domain parks. They could be looking at blog posts or Facebook fan pages or building Facebook fan pages. They could be doing kind of guerrilla marketing from forum postings. But these publishers generally have a wide variety of different tactics. They're not necessarily taking one tactic or trading strategy. What do these affiliates look for? They're generally looking for good conversion, high payout, really basic stuff. What I found surprising when I first started working in this business, we worked with a lot of affiliates to get our products distributed, was that there's really a set of trends, things that become very popular within the affiliate network community. They look to distribute applications or other bundles or offers or services, and they'll work through the affiliate network community, and they do definitely go through kind of trends, and the affiliates are always looking for the next hot thing that will work with their publishers and work with their content. So I just highlight that you constantly need to be evolving your product to be able to find the right niche with these different publishers and affiliates. So how do you first start working with an affiliate? Well, first you start small with a small amount of money to start with a test campaign. You evaluate your buy, you monitor the metrics, and if it's working, you basically ramp up. The key thing then is to watch to see where you hit your saturation point. And I'll go through in greater detail as to what I mean by that. But essentially, you're going to start with a very small ad buy, maybe a couple $1,000s to determine if the test is actually working. And then you slowly increment with greater amounts of marketing. You're going to need a wide variety of reporting tools and basically affiliate tracking tools. These tools basically will measure a wide variety of metrics, whether the conversion metrics, and then also measure the conversion by a wide variety of affiliates, sub-affiliates, campaigns. Basically, you really want to see what's happening within your conversion funnel. In our case at ask.com, we have a homegrown solution. I wouldn't recommend that for a person who's starting out, but we've been doing this for 10 years, and we've basically evolved into a homegrown system. However, we do use a lot of third-party software and open source software as well. In the affiliate tracking software, a lot of these also will incorporate reporting tools as well as more advanced billing functions and fraud detection and the like. And there's a couple of examples there for you to check out. The key thing that you're looking to do is manage your funnel. I used to work at Yahoo, and at Yahoo, everybody was deeply familiar with the funnel. Basically, you want to be able to start getting reporting built into your conversion funnel so you can understand who's buying or who's clicking. How does a click from a landing page translate into an actual credit card payment at the end of the day? And you want to be able to track that by operating system, browser, language, localization. You also want to be able to isolate different affiliates, their sub-affiliates, in different campaigns. The reason you want to do this is you want to be able to get greater insight into which affiliates are performing, which campaigns are performing, where your conversion funnel might be working and failing in operating systems, browsers, or countries. Once you start getting that instrumentation into your conversion funnel, you'll be able to focus on managing take rate versus conversion. And what I mean by this is, at the end of the day, you will want to be more aggressive with taking on the risk of buying the inventory and managing what might be early conversion earlier in the funnel rather than conversion later in the funnel. So an example of that would be, generally you'll start off with doing a very straightforward cost per action, where you would give a third party who's distributing your software revenue after the user has actually paid you. And in that case, it's very low risk on your part, because you're not giving out any money until you actually receive money. And in that case, you would give the distributor a revenue share off of any user or any customer who actually buys your software. As you become more advanced, you can then start getting, putting the monies more up front in the funnel, paying for installs or clicks that happen very early in the funnel, early when the user is either seeing an ad, going to a landing page, initially installing a software application, and so forth. The key thing at that point to understand is that conversion early in the funnel might not yield conversion later in the funnel. And that's why you want to be able to get all that detailed reporting data. Because you might find that an ad creative that is very effective at driving early take rate, but not effective at getting the right customers who are actually going to buy the software or use your software. So in that case, we do a lot of A/B testing, where we test a wide variety of offer screens, which means marketing language, different ad creatives. Oftentimes we'll do tests where it's very difficult to see the difference between one creative and the next. We do these because the slightest changes have very, very important impact. In this case here, you can see a wide variety of different offer screens, basically testing a Norton product. And from here you can see we're testing and working with what kind of creative might work better. Should we highlight the word free? Should we highlight the happy customers? Should we use different bullet points in marketing copy? Should the buttons appear differently? All of these subtle differences have a big impact. And again, that's why you want to get instrumentation into your conversion funnel, so you can be able to start tracking different creative, landing pages, and affiliates, so you can then isolate which ones are really driving conversions for you and which ones aren't.
Which one, by the way, it worked?
We have yet to get the data from this, so this is still underway. I think number one on the top of the page is going to work, but I'm not quite sure. Data's we've yet to run it. I think it'll be number one because I think it has the biggest use of the word free. So that'll really drive early conversion. And this is an application that is basically it works on a long-term conversion cycle. It doesn't have a 30-day free trial. They basically assume that you're going to have the application for 4 months before they actually drive the conversion. So they're really looking for early downloads. We actually have other examples where I love to show this example, which I actually did bring. But the changes that are so subtle that oftentimes you can show these examples to people, and people will not be able to initially perceive the differences. But yet there's a 30% range between the lowest performing unit and the highest performing unit. And that just kind of highlights that these subtle differences do have a big impact. This is a basic marketing concept, and basically what you want to do is start breaking your users into cohorts, basically groups, and start watching those groups and watching them through time. And by doing so, you can then start building a retention curve. And in the example above, you can see we've done an install test. We start bucketing our users into weekly cohorts. You could use some other time unit, whether it's every other week or something that might be larger based upon your needs. But we start breaking them into weekly cohorts. We then track them through their life cycle. So you can see in the Excel spreadsheet, so far in that example, there's like 3 weeks worth of cohort data there. So we have several different weeks, and the life cycle so far is about 3 weeks. Actually, that test has about 12 weeks worth of data. You can see then we're able then to build a retention cohort or retention graph below. That allows us to see how long that user group is going to continue to use the application. We do this because we see that we see seasonality, we make changes in our software application. We want to be able to go back in time to see which change had a significant impact on retention and which changes didn't. Once you do this, you can then start seeing a graph of leveling off. So then you'll be able to project into the future as to how much these users might be worth. And so to answer your question before, Stephen, this is a real way of being able to understand how much your users would be worth, and so therefore how much you might be willing to pay for that traffic downstream. We also break these into retention curves so we can understand the retention curve by different affiliates and by different sub-affiliates. Because when you look at your affiliates, some affiliates are, because of the wide variety of different trading tactics and acquisition tactics, they acquire a wide variety of different users, the quality of the users. So it's really important to be able to build a retention curve based on each of the affiliates and the sub-affiliates. And this is really an important principle for dealing with affiliates and just doing marketing in general. And once you have that data, you can then project forward in time pretty accurately as to how much these users are worth, and therefore how much you'd be willing to pay for an install, a click, or a download, or some other metric that's earlier in the conversion funnel. And then when you start doing this, you'll start building your LTV or lifetime model, right? You'll understand how much a user's worth, their lifetime value. And then you'll start doing more marketing and building greater volume. And then the key thing there you'll need to understand is that as you start building the volume, generally the lifetime value of these groups of subsequent users become less and less. And what this means is that basically, as you grow your volume, the overall lifetime value will generally decrease. So volume and lifetime value have an inverse relationship. So earlier I mentioned that when you're going to hit a saturation point, at that saturation point, you then will probably then need to evaluate other marketing tactics. Your affiliate will, unless the affiliate is constantly growing, the affiliate will probably hit a saturation point where they no longer have enough traffic for you at your lifetime value, or they no longer have enough traffic for you at a point that you're willing to pay money for. At that point in time, you'll then want to evaluate other affiliate networks. Early on, you'll want to make sure you net it out quickly so you can figure out whether this affiliate network or this trading tactic is going to work for you. Expect that the data is not going to be aligned always. There's going to be a lot of data discrepancies. Their data and your data will be off because of the variety of different reporting systems that the people might use. Cookie breakage might occur. At the end of the day, be reasonable. Everybody wants to make it work because it is a performance-driven industry, and if it doesn't work for both parties. Come to an agreement very, very quickly and be able to establish with your affiliate network that it's either working or not working. And if it is working, great, you can ramp up. If it's not working, you really want to have a very clear conversation with your affiliate network to tell them that it's not working and that really something has to change. And that something that has to change would either be the trading tactic, or that you're really not going to spend any more money on that network until you could see greater performance. So don't be afraid about negotiating early and upfront. That's what the purpose of the test buy is. The purpose of the test buy is to basically establish the parameters for you to be successful. And if it's not working for you, there's no need to continue testing that affiliate network. Better to move on as quickly as possible. Earlier I mentioned the need to be able to understand the difference between performance and branding. Out there's lots of forms of compliance, lots of governmental regulations, other guidelines that need to be followed, a wide variety of things that you need to be familiar with. And so it's best to start with a reputable affiliate network first. The reason I say that is because the affiliates, the publishers, will take on a wide variety of tactics And some of them might be very performance-driven, overly performance-driven, and might not be doing things that you want to be associated with, and you want to be able to monitor that and be able to cut them off as quickly as possible. So in the beginning, it's best to work with an agency or affiliate network that's highly reputable, has strong compliance guidelines with their affiliates and publishers, so you don't get exposed to that risk. And that risk is with the network, but it's also just risk of other affiliates taking your software and using it in drive-by downloads. And this is very real risk for you as a software developer. We just had an issue a couple of days ago where our software was being bundled, unbeknownst to us, by an affiliate in Romania, and doing a download which we didn't agree with. It is one of those things where it was kind of unusual that this third party had taken our software to help support this other download. You just need to always be keeping an eye on your affiliates, your affiliate networks, the publishers they use, and just monitoring them for best practice. Because you want to make sure that the affiliate publishers are not committing any sort of fraud, in addition to violating any governmental regulations, laws, or other guidelines from other large advertising networks like Google or Facebook. So you always want to be keeping an eye on them to make sure that they're not becoming overly performance-driven, so you want to be able to work through fraud. And that's another reason why you want to work with a very reputable affiliate network in the beginning, because they'll already have a great deal of fraud prevention programs in place. So in summary, for affiliate networks, you want to test. Start with a small amount, very, very small amount. You want to be able to evaluate and monitor, make sure that you have all the reporting data in place. Reporting data from the conversion, from the initial landing page to subsequent consumption or buying of your software, whatever your key metric is, whether it's somebody giving you a credit card or somebody installing your software because perhaps it's a free ad-based software, but really evaluating that over a period of time where you feel comfortable that you're going to be able to make money, or basically make money back up on your ad spend. And then when that does occur, just slowly ramp up and then watch for saturation. The reason why I say slowly ramp up is because you'll want to be able to make sure that the money that you spend on the second buy or the third buy doesn't go to lower performing parts of the affiliate network. So when you first do your test, you might be getting great quality traffic because the affiliate network is putting your offer in front of the better performing part of the network. And as you begin to roll out, you might be getting the lower and lower quality part of their network. So you always got to keep an eye when you begin to roll out your ad buy. And then also keep an eye on your saturation point, because unless the affiliate network is constantly expanding, you're going to be running to a point where they no longer have any additional inventory, and you're going to reach a natural saturation point for where you're no longer able to buy traffic that's profitable for you. So that's affiliate networks. Are there any questions on that? Because I'm going to go into install networks, which is another type of a distribution channel, but a lot of the same basics apply to install networks. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through how do they work, who are they, what tools are needed, and how best to work with the install networks. So in the case of install networks, it's basically a different affiliate channel or distribution channel. In this case, a software publisher is bundling a piece of software that makes its software installation flow available to different advertisers. In the case of the publisher, they're able to monetize their installation flow. They basically are able to get incremental revenue. And in the case of advertisers, they're able to get new users. And the way to look at it is almost like the convenience checkout line at a grocery store. Users are already going in and downloading one software application, and the install networks basically recommend other related software to drive conversion for the advertiser. These software platforms will have some kind of installer component, some kind of business intelligence, configuration tools, and essentially it's an ad service. Business intelligence is basically the reporting giving people insight into the funnel, and the configuration tools are the tools that make it easy to be able to create an offer screen or create an ad and make those ads available to the different publishers. So how does this look in reality? So the example here is with the software application Uvu. The user goes to a publisher download page. The user downloads the software application. I've deleted a couple of steps. They download the application. They hit run. They then see the publisher's installer. Many publishers make a toolbar available as part of their offer install flow. And then they would then make an additional offer flow or an additional offer available afterwards. The publisher is able to drive additional monetization, and the advertiser is able to get additional traffic. And deeper, the publisher benefits. They're able to maximize revenue. They basically are getting high quality offers that generally match back to their application. These networks are dynamic. They have algorithms that look to make these matches to make sure that the offers are related to the user or to the initial publisher. These general networks generally focus on quality advertisers. The ones I list later all focus on quality and compliance, all focusing on making sure that these applications are high quality software that will drive conversion and usage and also not conflict with the publisher's install. And then they all focus on being simple to deploy. The benefits to the advertisers is that they're getting quality traffic from top publishers with users who have strong intent. These users are already downloading a software application, so they already have strong intent for using downloadable software and are familiar with the downloadable software experience. These networks have customizable offer screens, making it easy to be able to change your creative to do A/B testing. And they're all simple to deploy, similar to like Google AdWords, where you can basically turn on campaigns and turn off campaigns. This is part of the shameless self-promotion, but I'm not going to go into us too much. But I will highlight some of the other folks and actually go into greater detail around them to give everybody equal information, equal opportunity. So there are a lot of players in the space. I've chosen a few players who have the highest compliance standards. OpenCandy is one of the players who've been out there the longest. I would say that they really pioneered the space because they were the first people out there in the market space about 2.5, 3 years ago. They basically have always focused on driving clear compliance and awareness of the offer flow. W3I, they're in the marketplace. They grew in a different way. They had their own software bundles, and they were able to monetize that by adding on additional software applications. And then I work at the Ask Partner Network, part of Ask.com. We have our own relationship with 180 different publishers, and we're making that available to different advertisers. But in general, I'm not going to sell against them in this venue, but in general, all of us have cloud-based options for easy maintenance. All of this is done in the cloud. All support CPI and CPA business models. All have algos to optimize conversion rates, to be able to maximize the experience for the publisher and conversion for the advertiser. And all have reporting to track the funnel. All of the basic things that you need as an advertiser to be able to make sure your campaign is working, and all the information that the publisher needs to be able to understand how much money they're making. So how do we work with the install networks? Well, the install networks are very similar to an affiliate network or just another distribution channel. So start small, test, monitor, and ramp. And again, strong communication, or actually this is different. Strong communication of offer and drive awareness of the download. So the install networks are a very unique space in that you're part of another application's download flow. So in this case, the advertiser needs to have very, very clear guidelines around what is the offer, what's the free application, what's the paid application. But essentially, it really needs to be a very clear offer screen. It needs to be a clear marketing call to action to be able to differentiate between that primary software so the user is not confused. The other key thing is to make clear awareness of the install and uninstall practices of your software to make sure it does not conflict with other advertisers or with other publishers. For example, if your application requires Silverlight, Silverlight's not always on the user's machine, Silverlight requires a reboot, will that conflict with the primary application? So, to go on into more around the communication, again, this is part of another application's install flow. So it's really important to be able to make the marketing claims very clear and transparent so there's no confusion for the user. So the separation between marketing claims of free and paid. You don't want to mix your marketing claims between a free product and a paid product. Marketing claims should be clear when it's a free software application as opposed to you need to pay money to be able to get the paid service. You want to be able to separate between content and advertising if your application is a free supported application. In the case of advertising, in some locations it's not necessarily considered free because actually the user is performing a service, clicking on ads, which makes it no longer free. So you want to be able to make sure that if your application is ad supported, that it is referenced in the offer screen. You want to make sure that if your application is doing any kind of data tracking, perhaps it's a browser extension or does data tracking or shares data, that you do clear disclosure of data tracking with a clear link to your privacy policy, with a very clear description of what your privacy policy is. And then obviously a link to any kind of terms of service, EULA, and the like. Because you are beginning your install process of your software application, so you want to be able to begin your legal disclosure of your software application. So install networks are very, very similar as to affiliate networks. So again, it's test, start with a small amount, monitor, ramp, watch out for saturation. The key difference is that you're taking advantage of a very unique placement, and as such, you'll want to make sure that your application doesn't conflict with the previous publisher's application, and then you also want to make sure that your application has very clear marketing disclosure. All the networks I have outlined before do that, so you would be in good shape. Direct deals. So at Ask.com, we do a lot of deals with other software publishers, and you too could do a direct deal with other software publishers. So basically, the idea here is that you'd be able to partner with different publishers, and via their install flow, make an offer for your software application. So this is similar to the install network, but instead of going to the install network, you're going to go to a software publisher directly. And large companies already do this. They do this via cross-sell and upsell. So an antivirus software company will cross-sell to the user a registry utility or some kind of PC speed optimizer application or some kind of password vault. And vice versa. PC utility software might cross-sell to a speed optimizer application. But large companies already do this kind of cross-sell and upsell. What you can do is you can go call on other players in the market space who are not directly competitive with you, but are complementary to you and might appeal to the same user base, and be able to strike up a deal where you do either mutual distribution or one party distributes the software and gets a revenue share back. So in that case, the different payment models would be like a CPA, CPI, as mentioned before, or revenue share. To keep it very simple, revenue share is probably the best way to get started because, again, there's really low risk. You're basically paying the distributor a revenue share on monies that you earn. In summary, for direct deals, you want to be able to follow the same principles of test early and often, monitor performance. In this case, you also want to be able to coordinate update cycles. So that way, when the lead publisher is updating their bundle, you might also need to provide the latest update for your software. So you just need to be able to test early and often, monitor and then focus on when the saturation might occur. So what might be different between install networks and direct deals? Integration can be a little more complicated. Bundling might turn out to be manual. We do a lot of these direct deals, and the way they work is that you build your software, you hand your software build over to the third party, they then incorporate your software into the install flow, and you then have to hand it back and forth between both parties to be able to definitely QA the install process. So there is a little bit of complicated interaction and QA that has to happen between both companies. Because of this, just a little bit of increased complexity. And I highlight the complexity because whenever you work with these companies, the installer person is the person who seems to be in most demand. So you just need to be clear that this is a good idea, that you have strong revenue potential, because the company that you're looking to distribute with is basically very aligned with your software application. An example for us is with toolbar deals, we have search economics. It's a relatively easy install, and and our application is fairly small, right? It's only a couple of megabytes. So you just need to be able to evaluate whether your application is a very simple install, is it a small file size, might it conflict with a publisher, and then do you have other people in your market space who could be relevant distributors for your application? And again, it's real basics. Test, monitor, ramp, and then focus on when you hit saturation. And when you hit saturation, again, that's your point when you need to be able to look for new distribution channels and new affiliate networks. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot now, ask now or ask later. My email address is here.
What are you seeing as the best form of conversion tracking? What are you seeing as the best form of conversion tracking?
Yeah, so what we do is we basically focus on cookie data, but we basically focus on, so you mean specific metrics or specific methods?
How are the affiliates knowing that their sales are going to be captured? What is the best approach to that?
You got it.
Cookies.
So a lot of the web-based, yeah, so a lot of the web-based publishers focus on cookies. Cookies have a lot of flaws. Since we focus on downloadable software, we focus on passing tokens back and forth. In our case, we built a system that allows us to focus on passing these reporting parameters and then also monitor the cookie data. Because we see that the cookie data does have a lot of flaws. Cookie data flaws might be around when people kind of refresh their browser. Also, cookie data might have flaws because some browsers have cookie max size constraints, so you might not always be able to pass the cookie. So there's a few different things that we look for. So for us, we monitor cookie data, as well as we also pass over our own reporting parameters as part of the install flow and via APIs.
Are you doing anything with the computer fingerprinting?
In the case of looking for IP addresses and other fraud and things like that?
No. There's a way to fingerprint a system, so even though they might delete their cookies, you would still know it's that system, even if their IP address changed.
It depends upon the application. So in the toolbar space, if the application is on the user's machine, we write to the registry keys. So we then have a history of that user, and we're able to monitor that as a unique user, right? In the case of our web properties, we focus on cookies. But with the downloadable software, we focus on writing to the registry key and monitoring the registry key.
How does Windows 8 affect the bundle and toolbar complexity?
Yeah, so Windows 8 is pretty interesting in that it will have a Metro store. And I think it's really going to be a question of, there's two things. One, will Windows 8 be very successful? And will Metro and the Metro store and the Metro View be successful? So let's take both angles. Because when we talk to a lot of the software publishers, the vote is split. People are very split about whether or not Metro is going to be successful, and if Metro is not successful for the desktop computer, then it's unclear how many users are going to use that for the short term. Now, Metro for Windows 8 for tablet will definitely be, the dominant paradigm. Does everybody know about Windows 8 and Metro and the Metro Store? Because if not, maybe I'll go into a little detail. So in the case of Windows 8, there's a new UI. The new UI is more of a tablet UI, and it replaces the start menu inside the classic mode. That's what we see currently in our PCs. And what you'll be able to do at that point is you'll be able to click on Start, go view this new menu, and then be able to access a new type of application called Metro Apps. And Microsoft will have a Metro App Store where all of these applications will be available. All of these applications will need to be sold through the Metro App Store. That Metro App Store will be similar to the iPhone App Store in that it'll go through review and compliance. There'll be a central point of contact and control, and that'll be Microsoft. So Metro app developers will need to be able to get their applications approved by the Metro App Store to be able to sell or distribute these apps into Metro. For developers, it is a pretty interesting opportunity because perhaps you could create a Metro app that would be a free version of an app. Metro is exciting in some ways because you can create applications that are HTML5 based. It lowers the development curve for a lot of application developers. You no longer need to know advanced programming languages to be able to build an application. The other thing that's kind of interesting about it, similar to the Mac Store, is that you're then plugged into the Metro App Store and all the payment methods that will be available. So it would eliminate a lot of the complexity around building a paid software application. And you'll probably be able to build applications, and they'll be paid applications at very low price points, at $1 or $2, similar to what's happening on iPhone or the tablet, or what's happening in Android. So at the end of the day, how does it actually change what people in this room do? Well, I think it's a lot of the developers we're working with are looking to build Metro apps, and they'll either have the Metro app be the standalone application, or the Metro app is basically kind of a window, a bookmark, or basically a preview of a more robust application. In that latter case, it's similar to the way it worked in the past in downloadable games, where you buy actually in many applications, you buy kind of a free basic trial, and that would be the Metro app. And you'd be able to upgrade to more of a robust downloadable app. Unclear if that actually works. Fortunately, Metro apps and Metro are beginning to roll out now. So you can take a look at the Metro App Store. In our case, as a distribution network, affiliate network, we'll probably just be pointing over to people's Metro apps in the Metro App Store. And lastly, for those developers who want to really think big, as a Metro app-enabled browser, you're given special access inside Metro. So you could install a Metro app-enabled browser outside of Metro, which is unique. And then you would become the default Metro-enabled browser inside MetroView. So there's lots of different opportunities. I see some people kind of shaking their heads. Does that make sense? No. In the Metro app world, you have two types of apps. Metro apps, and Metro apps have a highly defined level of security. Within the Metro app world, each app is sandboxed, so you can't communicate outside of your sandbox. Except for one type of application, which is a Metro-enabled browser. That Metro-enabled browser is given special privileges, and those special privileges allow that app to be installed outside of Metro. And in addition, once that app is installed, it is given super privileges, and it becomes the default Metro-enabled browser. Because in Metro, you basically have two browsers. You have a desktop browser, and you have a browser inside Metro. And in Metro, you can only have one browser at a time. So for some software applications or browsers, there's a very interesting opportunity to become a Metro-enabled app, Metro-enabled browser. Does that make a little more sense? Somewhat, okay. The things you should take a look at would be follow Google Chrome, Firefox, and a couple of others. They're in the process of building their own Metro-enabled browser, and those browsers will work in the classic mode as well as in Metro.
So in Metro mode, it no longer has a toolbar. Would you guys, what's your plan to address this issue for your toolbar business?
So we'll be building Metro apps, and we can bundle our software inside other third-party Metro apps. So if they have a Metro app, we can then also incorporate our software inside their software and do a revenue share with that third party.
Doesn't Metro not allow toolbars? Just where the browser does?
It doesn't allow toolbars as the browser goes. You can have search hooks and become the default search within in the browser. And at Ask.com we have a search engine, so we'd still be available as a search option from within the browser. And I think that's why Stephen is asking, in Metro mode you can't have a toolbar. How else would you distribute your search? And the other way of distributing our search would be inside other third-party Metro apps. So the third party would be able to have an icon or some other kind of content that would then drive back to our website.
Are any of the distribution methods you talked about applicable to like a online SaaS model?
Yeah. So first of all, is the model, does the application have any desktop component at all?
No.
Okay, does the application, one thing you can do is you can do, well there's two things. One is a variation of a desktop icon. You can place a desktop icon onto the user's desktop. And some people pay for a desktop icon placement. The other, or if your application has a gadget of some sort, that's the other thing. Another thing you can do within the latest browser within IE9 is that you can also have a light or pinned website. And a pinned website is basically like a bookmark or an icon that gets placed into the browser. And that's another thing that these third-party distribution networks are distributing. So basically distributing desktop icons and pinned sites. The other thing that they can do, and people all have support for different CPM models. So as part of their install flow, there's different creative could appear, and that creative could send the user to a web page, and that web page would be the landing page for the SaaS website. So in that page, then in that example, it's almost like any other marketing channel where you're basically doing some kind of creative to send users to a web page. And that web page could either be a web page on the web, could be an iTunes store page, or a Metro app store page.
How do they generally do payment in this situation?
In the case of Metro's yet to develop their affiliate networks. In the case of iOS, they do have affiliate networks, so you need to pass variables back and forth. So there are already affiliate networks that are in place for iOS and also for Android. So you'd sign up for an affiliate network, and then and you track yourself from that way.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet.
For the install networks, is there any kind of a price point threshold where it ceases to be effective?
The networks are like any other ad network in that they have inventory available down to the penny per install. The networks are able to target via geo, so they're really able to be be able to go down to a very small amount.
I was thinking in the other direction, that I would assume that a $2,000 product wouldn't do well as a,
Oh, I
maybe
see.
you want to buy this one too. Is there an idea of what that threshold is?
Yeah. For a paid, to be honest, I don't know. Because with a $2,000 product, it really depends upon how many people, the size of the audience that you're going after, and how best to target that audience. So if it's a $2,000 product, it's probably a fairly specific audience.
That was just an example. I was just wondering if there's our product is in the $260, so I was wondering if that kind of bumps it out or where that would be effective.
With each of the install networks or different affiliate channels, what you need to look at is who is in, what audience, what tactics do they have, how are they getting their users? And then each of the different affiliate networks might have users who might be better suited for a $260 product. So some of the affiliate networks might be more enterprise oriented, more B2B, and they might even focus on lead gen. And the way they would do that is that they might create white papers and other collateral that they help qualify the inbound traffic. So what you need to do at a higher price point software application is really look to see what kind of traffic the affiliate network has. Is it consumer? Is it enterprise? What kind of products are they really skilled at marketing? Earlier I mentioned that the affiliates are looking for high conversion, high payout, and also content applications that match their content and their skill set. So it really is a matter of finding the right affiliate network and marketing agency to distribute your product. Well, great. Here's my email address. If people have questions, feel free to send me an email. Okay.
I just want to say a quick thing. There is an enhanced site pinning in Windows 8 as well, so it does show up in the actual file. It's a little bit different than Windows 7. You kind of have to implement both for the best experience. But for a SaaS app, that's a pretty low-cost way to get information off the top.
Yeah, Dan, did you get that? Because
Yeah, he came up and talked.
Oh, you did. Okay. Well, great. Well, thank you very much. Thank you.